You guys, so it's only 6:10 here in Gardenia, which is right now sitting on Pacific Coast time because we don't have daylight savings time here in Gardenia. It's a thing. But 6, 7, 8, 9. That means it's 9:10 in Virginia right now, and that means in less than 3 hours. 1, 2, 3. In less than 3 hours, the state of Virginia will officially have legalized the possession of cannabis and diminished the penalty for public consumption down to a mere fine. I mean, we're talking something the equivalent of a traffic ticket. I mean, if that's not progress, I don't know what is. Virginia, Bible Belt, Southern ass, we do what we want and act like it's 1930. Virginia is about to legalize weed in 3 hours. And somehow the rest of the country can't get on board? I find that a little hard to believe. It's crazy. I'm super stoked. For those of you who know, I have a beautiful little guy down there in Virginia, and the Virginia State Custody Courts have deemed me a danger, a potential danger to him based on my medical cannabis patient status. His father likes to call the cops on me whenever I come into town to visit him, so that's been quite a struggle, obviously. But now I will be able to go visit this kid without any fear of men with guns coming after me simply for visiting my son, because people like to complain. I'm not going to get into that. It sucks. Yeah, it's something I've been living with, something that has fueled my entire activism career, and I am just completely stoked. So to everybody in Virginia who works so hard for this, Commander-in-Chief salute. Fun story. Actually, not really too fun of a story. Last time I decided to take a 3-hour trip to visit my son at school, because since I'm a dangerous cannabis patient, it has to be supervised. I was met with police outside of his school. So cupcakes, fun, lunch, recess, all the kids love me, and a thing we've been doing. And, an anonymous phone call was made. Funny thing is, the only other person I know in town is his father, but speculatory, right? And I was put in handcuffs outside of the school simply for visiting my kid and bringing him cupcakes and having my legal medication from the state of Maryland labeled, marked, stamped on me. Luckily, the courts dropped the charges for me. And they didn't want to. I want to tell this story for anybody who may be faced with it. They tried to get me into a plea deal where, essentially I'd pay him $1,000 and get on some sort of probationary thing. And I stood my ground. And I encourage all of you to do this in the instance of a possession charge. I said, nope, respect, great deal, Mr. Prosecutor. But respectfully, we'll take it to jury. Oh, but how about this? No, we'll take it to a jury trial. I find it hard to believe that 7 to 14 of my peers will throw me into a cage for visiting my son with cupcakes and having 2 grams worth of my medicine on me that is legal 2 hours north in Maryland, but just doesn't happen to be right here where I'm sitting. I really find that hard to believe, Mr. Prosecutor. Oh, well, how about this? Nope, jury trial. And because I stood my ground, I walked away with my rights intact. And I encourage all of you to do that. Always stand your ground. Make sure you consult with lawyers. But now I don't got to worry about that. I can go waltzing into this middle school and bring all the cupcakes and pizza that I want and give that boy a hug. And the worst the officers can do to me would be write me a ticket if I were to be consuming in public. And no, I'm not going to be sitting on school grounds puffing my medicine. But for anybody who's a patient, you know that you've got to have your cannabis on you. You never know when your symptoms are going to kick in and when you need to control them. So it's really, it's incredible that now I don't, as of 3 hours, 2 hours and 45 minutes from now, I can start making plans and get there and visit that kid with zero fear. And that just lightens my heart. I feel like I've been let out of some sort of lifetime prison sentence, but let out on parole because, the custody courts still haven't changed their minds. But we'll get to them. Unfortunately, family law is another thing that's a serious problem in America. But make sure if you're in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area to go to marijuanas.org. That's MARAUGA, marijuanas with an S.org. There is going to be an official Virginia smoke in tomorrow. I don't know where it's at. I've got nothing to do with it, but I encourage everybody to go out there because fuck yeah. Yay, Virginia. And then July 4th, this Sunday, the 51st annual Smoking at the White House, which I was so excited to be at. But unfortunately, I will not be going. Combination of a lot of things. There was one particular teammate in the old planning group that was a bit aggressive, a bit coercive, a bit demanding. The commander-in-chief does not work with aggression. But the commander-in-chief will work with aggression. If it seems that the outreach is going to be worth it. In this case, coupled on with the fact that my dog is still healing, I made the tough decision to stay here home in Gardenia with a lot of fun things in the future here. So what's next? Oh, Mississippi. Mississippi's next week. What is that event called? We need to plug the hell out of that. I'm looking it up here. No, not groups. We want to go to events. There is a big Liberty event in Mississippi coming up. It's being hosted by the Cajun Libertarians. Super stoked to meet that guy. And yeah, where I have Verizon service on this device, I do not have T-Mobile service on this device. So make sure... just look at my story. I'm going to be sharing the hell out of this event. And I can't remember the name because I'm so distracted and so elated by the fact that Virginia, you guys are that much closer to freedom. And that is, I'm stoked for everybody in Virginia. I'm stoked for myself. I will admit it, this is a selfish... joy that I'm feeling here. I mean, this makes my life so much better. Candace Dreyer is watching. Candace is with Cannabis Open Carry Walk in Texas. She says July 24th, Fort Worth, Texas at Burnett Park Marijuana March. That's awesome. Candace, I'd love to say I'd love to say I could be there, but I will say I wish I could be there. Unfortunately, I don't think I will be able to be there. And the Mississippi event is called Breaking Boundaries for Liberty, and that is what we'll be doing. For so long, I've lobbied and rallied and stood up for cannabis rights, and we're so close. I think we can effectively say that the drug war is ending. We won. It's just going to take a lot of years of reform to get to where we need to be. But we're heading in the right direction. There's really no going back from here, I don't think. But to secure that, I'm going to put most of my activism efforts into the drug war in general, not just cannabis. And I'm going to do that through the Libertarian Party and continue to be an activist, spread those libertarian principles of freedom and self-ownership. Nobody should mandate what you put in your body, and that includes cannabis. So, I don't think this is news to anybody, this transition. But I guess, you guys, Virginia, the fucking southernest, southy, icky state in this damn, it's like, oh, it's Virginia. Just legalized cannabis. The steps forward are incredible. Can you imagine? I get to see my kid again. I'm stoked. And for those of you that wonder, me and my boy have an awesome relationship. We video chat all the time, for hours on end, as if I were in the room and he were just running his mouth like a 11-year-old does. So thank you, technology, for keeping my relationship with my son intact while Prohibition tried to keep me away from him. But thanks to the relaxation on Prohibition, there's a much brighter future ahead for us and for everybody in Virginia and for everybody in the country. And that's it. You guys, make sure you hit marijuanas.org. Go to that Virginia Smokin'. Hit up the 51st annual Smoking at the White House. I'm sorry that I won't see everybody, but I hope I hope that I will see you next year. Keep an eye out. I've got a bunch of fun events coming up. So you'll be able to run into me out there on the road. Peace and love, guys. Pass joints, not judgment. We are all in this together.